Hello, everyone. This is Erinn Morgan. I am the editor-in-chief of Eye Care Business Magazine, and I am excited to be here today in an interview with Nicola Zotta. He is the president of Marchon Eyewear, and he is here in the New York office, in the Long Island office of Marchon. Is that correct, Nicola?
That is correct. Hi, Erinn. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm calling
thank you for joining us.
On Long Island, Melville, Long Island.
That's great. So, and we appreciate you joining us today, and thank you for being there. I love your eyewear photos in the background. Very, very cool.
Thank you.
So, we're here today to kind of discuss a little bit about the current, crisis with the coronavirus and the effects on the industry and the eye care professionals and Marchon, and to just kind of check in and get a little bit of background on where the company's at. So I'll just kick off with our first question here is just, can you just tell us a little bit about the past few months at Marchon and, how the company has handled everything? Are most of the employees work from home currently, or, and where the office is closed down for a time?
Sure, with pleasure. Let me start by saying that first, this has been the most incredible times that I've experienced in my professional and personal life. And I think I can say the same thing for most of my colleagues and friends. But the good news, I think, is that the worst is behind us. We are going toward more normal times. I don't think we are really back to normal, but we are definitely going toward more normal times. And this is great. But it's been quite a rough period when you think about it. And if that's okay for you, I would like to share a little bit of a broader perspective than just the US.
Absolutely, that would be great.
Directly in 27, 28 markets worldwide. We've seen it start in Asia at the very beginning of January. And I remember talking to our general manager of the Asia Pacific region, probably January 5th or January 6th, when honestly, we haven't really even started to talk about it in Europe and in the US at the time. So what struck me at the time is how prepared he was already for what was going to arrive. This gentleman has been with us for quite some time. He's European, but he lived in Asia for over 25 years. So he went through 3 or 4 different epidemics already in Asia. He went through SARS in 2001, the swine flu. So you could feel already that the level of preparedness that he had, and then honestly, he expected the rest of his team to have, was extremely high. So that made us feel very, very comfortable about how they could have handled the situation in case of an escalation. So we started to talk about safety of our employees. Well, really talking about social distancing, masking up, those are normal things that in Asia, you don't need to oversell to make sure that people adopt that. So we felt fairly comfortable that the situation was under control through our management team. And at the same time that we started to look at our employee safety, we started to look at the rest of the business. And primarily for us, Asia is supply chain. We source products from our factories. So we were getting closer and closer to Chinese New Year. One of the concerns we had was, well, what about the orders that we have open with our factories? Would they get delivered on time? Would there be delays? So what we did was really to put in place a certain number of protocols that allowed us to have on-time visibility on the effectiveness on the production level of our key suppliers there. And we know what happened in Asia. We know that they extended Chinese New Year, they shut down Wuhan. The situation, honestly, in Asia has been handled by our teams very, very well. We never felt particularly concerned. But a month later, in February, you remember Italy got hit very hard.
Oh, yes.
That was the 3rd week of February. I remember my family was in Italy at the time, traveling back, when during a weekend, a state of emergency was declared, and the Prime Minister issued an executive order through which they shut down 7 provinces in the northeast of the country. So I remember very well the sequence of events, and I started to feel very quickly that the level of preparedness in Italy was not the same than in Asia.
Right.
Shut down 7 provinces. Now we have about 350 employees in Italy. We have a production facility, we have a design center, we have a marketing team, and we have our sales offices north of
Where
Venice.
is that all located, Nicola?
North of Venice in the Dolomites,
Okay.
close to the Belluno area, pretty much where everybody else is in the
Right.
region. And actually, that province had not been shut down. So during the weekend, we were trying to understand if we were allowed to open the Monday after or not. And the reality was that a lot of the employees that we have working in that site actually live in provinces that had been shut down.
Oh, that's
Not
difficult.
only can they travel to the factory, well, maybe for work reasons they could, but can they then travel back to their house? We didn't know.
Right.
So we started to ask ourselves how we are going to handle that. And very clearly, we took two decisions. One, safety of our employees first, well before business. And obviously, we decided to close, to keep our offices there closed right after the executive order. And two, we really felt that we needed senior management to be heavily involved. We needed senior management to take the wheels of the situation. So we started to institute a cadence of daily meetings with our regional teams, with our country teams, global, and with VSP to make sure that we covered all the possible work streams to be able to handle a situation that we felt was going to escalate very quickly. So we started to talk about legal requirements, safety requirements, how to set up the IT environment to allow some of our employees to work potentially from home. In case people had to go back to the office, what sort of protocols did they have to follow? Sanitizing aspects. So really new things. We understood very quickly how complicated it was going to be to shut down a business. You would think that the most complicated thing is to run a business.
Right.
How complicated it is to actually shut down a business. So Italy was the first, then the other European countries followed very, very quickly. So by the second week of March, basically the entire European operation of Marchon was shut down.
Wow.
Grounded all the sales force, shut down the distribution center, all the employees of our offices started to work from home. And in a week, we did the same thing in the US. March 17th, I think, we shut down the offices in New York City. We shut down the office on Long Island, and we asked all of the workers that could to work from home. And that has been the smoothest process that we could ever have imagined, in the sense
That's
that
great to hear.
the amount of hassle we went through was very, very limited. The ability of our team to readapt to a new normal, connect their computers, connect their mics, and be able to work from home with a smile, starting from the day after, has been absolutely beyond any sort of expectation we could have had. So that's been an amazing experience for us from a management standpoint. And we stood like that for more than 4 weeks, no business whatsoever between mid-March and mid-April. And then we started to think about reopening. And again, you would think that reopening is an easy process. Well, it's not that easy.
Whole new world.
New questions, new things that you have to tackle. As an example, again, protocols, PPE, social distancing, how do you reorganize the office space when you need folks to come back to the office? When you have to authorize folks to come back to the office to pick up some of their belongings, how do you make sure that you respect the same safety regulations? So a ton of new things. One of the aspects we tried to cover was also some sort of backup plans. Clearly, some of our employees need to be at the office to do their work. We want to ship products, as an example. We need the distribution centers folks to be at the distribution center to be able to pick up.
Certainly.
The question was, in case some of our employees test positive, do we have to shut down the entire DC for how many days? What sort of procedures do we have to think of? So we started to think about backup plans to cover some of these circumstances. And initially, we thought that a good idea was to put in place alternating shifts, shift A and shift B. So in case we have a problem with shift A, with somebody working in shift A, well, we can anyway go back to shift B. But we realized quickly that wasn't good enough, because in case you have to go through a deep cleaning of this facility, you may be forced to close for several days. So as an example, in our distribution center here in Melville, we decided to open a satellite DC in an adjacent building that could be used as a backup in case we needed to close the main distribution center. So we literally moved almost 40,000 units from the main distribution center to this newly opened distribution center connected to our IT systems,
Wow.
according to the safety protocols, to be able to have a plan B in case the main DC needed to be closed. So completely new dynamic in what we were looking at.
Wow.
And again, the team, I think, really did a very good job. So globally speaking, I'm very proud of how, as a team, we've been able to cope with a completely new situation, how quickly we have adapted, the amount of flexibility that we've been able to show. So fast forward to today, most of our offices, most of our businesses, I should say, are open. There are just few areas of the world where we are really in a full shutdown. India is one of those countries. South America, Brazil, and Mexico, where we have offices, are still almost shut down.
Right.
Factory is working, not at 100% capacity, we're at 80% capacity. All of our distribution centers in the US, in Europe, and in Asia are open, working normally.
Okay.
Most of our employees work from home. So we have confirmed the policy that allows our employees, actually incentivizes our employees to work from home when it's possible.
That's
so
great.
We have appropriate IT protocols to make sure that the speed of the connection and the safety of the connection is what is required to work from home. And we've redesigned some of our key processes to contemplate the fact that we can't meet physically.
Right.
To meet on a screen like we are doing today. So businesses have reopened and business is coming back. That's why I'm saying that the worst is behind us. I think that from a business point of view, we are seeing a rebound in a lot of territories. And I think from a safety and health of our employees, we know how to handle the situation
Right.
better now than when the whole epidemic started in February in Europe.
No doubt.
So about the picture going forward.
That's great. And great to hear. And thank you for all the information on that. And it's great to get a global view. So when did the offices in Italy reopen?
We started to reopen the factory late April.
In April?
Late April, absolutely.
Late April, okay. So it was closed for about almost 2 months, month and a half, right?
Month and a half. We reopened initially at 60% capacity, and then we expanded at 80%, and I think we're going to stay at 80% capacity for a couple of months longer.
Right.
And we anticipate to go to 100% in September after summer break.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So, and are folks still in the Italian offices work from home as much as possible, or are they all back in the office?
They do work from home.
They do also.
Like design, when you think about it, we never thought that you could design products from home. So not only do we have designers working from home, but we've also been able to do activities like collections approval with our licensors remotely.
Amazing.
So obviously new procedures. You have to
totally
samples to your licensor. You take pictures, you organize very nicely done presentation, and you go live through the collection with the designer on one side of the world explaining the collection to the designer on the other side of the world. But it's been working very, very well. So yeah,
that's great.
A lot of our employees are working from home.
That's fantastic. So, and as we all know, many of the eye care professionals, the optometrists, the ophthalmologists, the opticians were closed for mandatory closures during the similar time. And we've seen a nice rebound from them with business. We track that weekly with our optometric business tracker for eye care business and post those numbers on our website every week. And we have been seeing a very nice rebound, week over week, and certainly over March, April, and May. And then June and July really, really bounced up, showed that nice pent up demand. But obviously, it's an incredibly difficult time for the eye care professionals, that we serve as readers, and obviously Marchon serves as their clients. And so how has Marchon kind of, pivoted to help those ECPs in this time? I know so many are looking for I mean, obviously they went through a lot of changes as well, and they were in need of so many things from PPE to, new ideas, just how to reopen and communicate with customers. So curious how Marchon has worked with your customers and the eye care professionals.
Yeah, absolutely. Incredible times for our doctors out there. And I think as well, they've done an amazing job. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but their ability that they've demonstrated to keep trust high with their patients and deliver care has just been phenomenal. So we've tried several things, and we keep on listening because the doctors out there still are in need of services, of support. And therefore, our goal as an organization and as part of VSP is to help our doctors thrive, do well, take care of their patients. So we keep on listening to what the market tells us we should continue to be doing. But a couple of things that we've tried to do. First, we've tried to be as available as possible. So we've expanded the number of communication channels that were available beyond the normal customer service lines. We basically transformed our 250 reps into 250 additional customer service reps for a certain number of weeks. We've expanded our e-commerce, our e-channel communication lines to be able
Fantastic.
to give doctors the ability to get in contact with us pretty quickly, pretty easily, to be able to share their demands, in some cases postponing a delivery, in some cases canceling a delivery. So that has worked pretty okay. We understood pretty quickly that cash flow was going to be a concern. So we've tackled specific demands of some of our doctors out there to postpone, to have turns. But we've tried to give primarily more space to Altera, which is a phenomenal program in our organization because it's a consignment-based model.
That's great.
So we have the ability to ship products out and bill them just when those products are sold to the patient. So that's a phenomenal tool to be able to alleviate.
That's fantastic. What was that called, Nicola?
It's Altair. Altair is a company.
Oh, Altair as a company. Okay. I didn't realize Altair as a company was fully consignment.
Yeah.
So even all of the collections that are from Altair are consignment. That's fantastic. So perfect for today's environment for ECPs, especially.
Absolutely. So that's been working very, very well. We have created, we realized that some of our doctors, despite the situation, had business activity and therefore needed to replenish their products. So we created packages around our bestsellers for some of our collections that could be reordered very easily through our MVP with a simple order button. That also worked very, very nicely. And then we joined forces with VSP on a certain number of activities to be able to do things jointly with them. We delivered shields to all doctors manufactured in the US.
Wow.
We delivered PPE to all the VSP network doctors in the US.
Amazing.
We created and we expanded a certain number of education programs, continuous education programs, with topics and content that I think resonated with the moment around, for instance, how to leverage on social media channels, how to connect with patients in times of crisis, how to optimize your marketing dollars in social media or in the internet in a situation like this one. Together with VSP, we also analyzed the Premier program, which is a program that is very successful in the US. So we extended the tiers. We froze the tiers and we extended the qualification levels until the end of the year to alleviate any sort of pressure on the business activity. And for what we heard, the response of the market to what we've done has been positive. Now, again, we continue to listen. I don't think we're at the end, as I said at the beginning, of the situation. Definitely, the situation is improving. So we have to continue to support in any possible way our doctors out there.
Certainly, and things keep changing day by day, so the needs keep changing for sure. Well, it sounds like you have a wonderful offering and great programs to help them through this time, with which I know many are looking for any kind of advantage on this front. So especially with product it's been a difficult thing. And I know for a lot of folks, they prefer to see the product in person. They love to, we did an optician's live stream panel, and they all said, I need to touch it and feel it and see it, to really buy it. And it's so difficult today. And, we talked about some different options, for seeing product and how that's going to change. So I was curious to ask you, how are the Marchon sales representatives, how is your team working to get the new product information, and are some of them still making in-person visits? Is it on a kind of a case-by-case basis, depending on what the eye care professional's office prefers?
Yeah. I think you're asking me around the what we are doing as well as the how we are doing. So the what honestly has not changed dramatically, in the sense that as an organization, we are going to keep our focus on a couple of key areas that I think are very relevant and resonate with what the market wants. So on one hand, great products and a great brand portfolio. So we continue to look at how to expand the competitiveness of our designs, the right brands at the right price point. Our brand portfolio is organized in 3 pillars: lifestyle, fashion, and performance. So we're adding new content every month, basically, to our product portfolio. So that remains paramount in our offer, as well as the quality of the service we provide to our doctors. Our fill rates have constantly been extremely important and extremely high, meaning the satisfaction of our doctors. And lastly, obviously, the level of innovation. I think it's very important to continue to innovate in our product offerings. On one hand, on the technology itself, so on some of the brands like Flexion, for instance, we're introducing new features with the memory metal that is utilized in plastic frames. But at the same time, I think we have to innovate in areas that are resonating with the end consumers. And I think in times of crisis, I think we will have an evolution in what consumers want. And their areas of sensitivity from a brand standpoint will change. And I think they will resonate more with brands that do things that are in line with what they think the planet should be doing. One of the things, for instance, with Dragon that we are introducing is an upcycled collection that is made of recycled bottled waters. So I think it's not enough to go out with great products, but you have to connect with consumers in a way that makes sense for them.
Right. It has to have a soul to the brand and to the story. We've seen that collection. It's received images, not seen it in person, but it's amazing. It's a fantastic concept, and the recycled, and I think that is very true. I've seen a lot of statistics that show, very high percentage of consumers prefer, they will buy a product, that has that kind of a connection or a story or a philanthropy angle, to it, that or sustainability angle that is, that's huge today. And I think that'll be even more important.
Yeah.
Do you think that we'll see price levels, just in terms of, with a lot of folks out of work and some folks, without insurance, do you think that we'll see a change in the way folks purchase in terms of pricing? Certainly that all levels will still remain important, but will we see more interest in the lower end?
Yes, I think that there will be an expanded demand on opening price points, and that's an area that we are tackling. There's a lot of focus in our proprietary brands portfolio. We have a huge offer in licensed brands, but we are strengthening significantly our proprietary brands portfolio. And we just launched a new line, Eyewear, that I mentioned earlier, that will be our lowest price point in our entire offer.
Fantastic.
So we do believe that there will be expanded demand for opening price point, and we are trying to answer to this anticipation, creating a line that I think will meet the taste and the demand of the end consumer. Yes, for sure.
That's fantastic. I'm sure that a lot of eye care professionals will appreciate that, having that ability to offer quality product.
You were asking me about the how. We
yes.
You'll see a lot of our doctors that are okay receiving a physical visit, let's say, from a sales representative. We've implemented a certain number of protocols to make sure that when that happens, it is
Certainly.
done in an appropriate manner. So our reps have to wear PPE, of course, before they enter the store with their sample bag. They have to double check that the store is not full of patients. We have specific protocols with regards to how to show products, how to allow an optician or a doctor to show the product, how to clean the products after they've been tried, if they are tried at all. We tend to not to advise a try-on for obvious reasons, but we continue to see a demand from the market for a rep to go in. Now, that's just one way. There's definitely another way that is gaining momentum that is around virtual communication channels. So we are strengthening our online platforms. We've recently upgraded our B2B website, MVP. We've added new functionalities. We've heard positive feedback about it. We have expanded our board management tool that is called Kaleidoscope. So it's an automatic replenishment system that allows a doctor to replenish their bestsellers based on sell out. That's also working well. And we are in the process of launching what we call virtual buying days, which is a more sophisticated way to do a product presentation online as compared to what you would do through a self-service portal, which is our B2B website, or through Teams or any other of the tools that today we are using to communicate online. That doesn't necessarily allow you to integrate so easily supporting material from a video point of view or from a training point of view. So that should go live in the next couple of months. So I don't think it's going to be an either or. I think it's going to be an and situation. And I hope that one of the lessons we take out of this is that we have to go more and more toward an and principle rather than an or principle.
Right.
So we hope that we will be able to implement and deliver on all these online tools, but we are firmly of the opinion that the need to have physical presence, boots on the ground, will continue. And obviously you have to be able to do it in a safe way given the current circumstances. And that seems to be as well with what we've seen happening in some of the other countries. I mentioned Asia at the beginning, and we asked very quickly to our colleagues in Asia what they saw happening in terms of habits, purchasing habits. And what they said is that exactly what I've shared. Some are concerned and don't want to have a face-to-face meeting and prefer to go online, but a lot are fine as long as you can organize a safe presentation method. And I think that makes sense. I think from a
definitely
point, we want to be safe, but at the same time, we like to have physical interactions. So we have to be prepared for both.
Absolutely. That's great. And we do see, yes, that ECPs prefer, having different preferences, and it's great to have the option. And maybe you want something one month and in a different way another month. So it's wonderful. You're providing such great options for them in a very safe way. So that's a great thing. So, in talking about all this and looking at everything, and, obviously the industry, and all industries have been, hard hit. We're all kind of coming back. But, what is your view, you have such a broad view of the industry. What's your view of how and when? So it's really that two-part question again. The eye care and eyewear market will recover from the pandemic, and how will we evolve to be different as an industry,
right?
Or as in eye care?
Yeah, so I think that we are already observing a recovery, which is great news. I think it's an amazingly resilient industry that starts with a clear need of a consumer out there. And if that consumer needed prescription eyewear pre-COVID, that consumer is going to need prescription eyewear post-COVID. So that, I think, is a key component that makes our industry stronger or more strongly positioned compared to many others. So we do see already a certain number of markets that have rebounded and that are actually above the level of last year at the same time. And we do see
great.
a certain number of European markets. We see that in China. We see that in Australia. The US is coming back very quickly. Now, some states in the US are doing less well than others, but we do see that happening. So when we look at the global picture, and this is not statistically proven, it's just my analysis, I see two components that are interesting. On one hand, I see a stronger rebound for the markets where vision care plays a role. The markets where private pay is 100% of the transactions are rebounding a little more slowly than the markets where vision care plays a significant role. It's the case of France, for instance, that is organized differently than in the US, but still you do have vision care plans playing a significant role in France. And the main difference that we see is twofold. On one hand, capture rate being higher in those markets, and two, a higher average price, a higher transaction.
Right.
So that I think is positioning the US in a good position to be able to count on a strong rebound. The other thing that we see and that we observe, and again, it's not necessarily statistically relevant or proven, but anyway, we see the optometry-led markets doing better than the opticians-led markets. And I think that's my point of view, that the trust relationship between the consumer and his or her eye doctor eliminates more strongly the component of fear relating to going out and shopping, as compared to a pure retail environment, which is more the situation of the opticians-driven market.
Certainly.
So again, given how the US is an optometry-led market, I think this should make us feel good about the ability of the US market to rebound. So for sure, we're not out of the situation. I think we have to get used to a certain number of stop and go. We've seen certain markets locking down again in specific areas. It's the case of Melbourne in Australia, the Beijing, some of the Beijing areas shut down again a couple of weeks ago. Hong Kong this week shut down again a portion of their business. So I think we're not entirely out of that, and it's going to take a while before we are completely back to normal. But at the same time, there are a lot of encouraging signs, in particular in our industry. And I think that our industry will rebound more quickly and more decisively than some other industries. So that should make us, I think, very, very good.
So that's certainly true. And it is, I mean, to be in the medical, in an eye care industry is certainly a stronger place to be, than some other industries for sure. So, and we have also been hearing from a lot of our readers and the eye care professionals around the country that they are having a higher capture rate, and the average sale is way up. And some are even telling us they're having 100% capture rate, which is pretty amazing. But obviously, people don't want to go out again. You want to go out, you want to get what you need, and you want to go home. So that is definitely helping, on that front for sure, from a business standpoint, no doubt. So, my last question is related to the eye care professionals again, and looking at, as they're recovering, and even going through these last several months, we've seen so many innovative ways that the ECPs have approached this, kind of pivoted in their own way. We've seen folks doing, curbside delivery. I mean, this was back in March, everybody's doing virtual styling sessions, going to, telemedicine is a huge, kind of area. And we've polled our readers on a regular basis on all of these topics and seen the growth in the interest and, taking that on. And now a lot of them are saying, well, we're going to keep telemedicine as a part of our practice as a convenience for those who prefer it. So, as in your overview at Marchon, and obviously dealing with a lot of the ECPs as clients, what has Marchon seen as some of the really most innovative ways that they have been dealing with the crisis and kind of, surviving and thriving throughout, to keep their business going?
Yeah, I think the key point that we've observed is the acceleration around how the industry is embracing technology, and in particular digital tools, in the way we operate. You mentioned telemedicine. We've definitely seen that. We definitely see doctors engaging with their patients before they go to a store to potentially select products or take a first look at products. So I think that the integration of technology in the way we do business is something that would have happened irrespective of COVID, but maybe it would have happened 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years from now. So the pace at which we are moving and embracing this change is much higher because of COVID than it would have been without.
Certainly.
And I think that for this to stay and work, we have to make sure that we work together, the industry overall, so suppliers and our doctors, to be able to collaborate on putting together the assets that are required for our doctors to interact in a certain way with their patients. So we were talking about, we call it virtual trays. So the ability that a doctor would have to pre-select products for a certain consumer. Imagine that that specific patient is sent a survey, defines his or her lifestyle, and based on that, is suggested a certain number of brands and products. Now, the doctor ideally doesn't want to create his own digital assets for those brands and those products, so it's up to us, vendors, providing the industry, our doctors, with the assets that are those that are required for then the doctor connecting with his or her patients. So I think it's very important that we keep this dialogue, this collaboration together. But what I do see is an acceleration in the pace at which we are embracing technology in several areas to create added value for the patient at the end of the road. So I think we are making the patient journey more effective and more efficient because of this innovation. And I think if we want to find a silver lining in the crisis, that's definitely one of those that can be mentioned. We are embracing change more rapidly, and we are, I think, adding value to what the customer and the patient is experiencing in dealing with us.
Absolutely. And certainly we've heard it time and time again, but the crisis has accelerated the rate of change, and a lot of the eye care professionals that had been intending to kind of make more changes or embrace technology are now, it's happening at breakneck speed. So it is a silver lining for sure, and that there is a lot of positive, I think, that come out of this better and stronger and more united as an industry, than ever before.
Exactly. I think the key purpose, of course, 2020 would be a difficult year. Q2 has been a difficult year. This is overall a tragedy. I mean, people are dying. So we
absolutely
get the seriousness of the situation. But I think we can get out of that. We can get out of this stronger as an industry. And I think we can try to capitalize on the learnings, on the investments that we are making, and continue to strive on the years to come. We are definitely convinced of that here at Marchon. We're doing everything we can to get out of this stronger, and we feel very positive about our ability to get out of this stronger. So we will definitely be there supporting the ECPs out there for a long, long time.
That's wonderful. Well, you guys have always been a great partner to the eye care professionals. So, and I so appreciate you joining me today to kind of share more information and ideas and inspirations and what's going on at Marchon right now today and what we're looking at towards the future. So thank you very, very much for joining us.
Thank you, Erinn. Thank you.
Yes. Well, and I'm glad to hear that you and your family are staying well and stay safe out there in Long Island.
We will. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.